بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصل اللهم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي اللهم لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Yeah, my dear brothers and sisters, inshallah this video finds you all in good health and in faith. May Allah protect you all and your families and give you all the best of this life and the next life. Inshallah, we wanted to continue in our reading of Imam Al-Bayhaqi's book, a summary of Imam Al-Bayhaqi's book, Shu'ab al-Iman, which is usually translated as the branches of faith. And as we've talked about before, just to give kind of an overview, faith for the believer in Islam is not just faith in the heart, but faith manifests itself in our actions. Faith is rests in the heart, but it manifests itself in our actions. So that a believer with sound faith or with a strong faith will inherently manifest that faith into actions such as establishing the commands of Allah, the pillars of the religion, etiquette, manners, good character, etc., etc. Right. So the book of Imam Al-Bayhaqi was written to gather and kind of categorize some of those ideas and give the proofs from the Quran and the Sunnah about where those things come from. So we mentioned one of the branches of faith which he mentions, radiyallahu an, rahimahullah ta'ala. He mentions keeping the company of righteous people, of the righteous, of the believers, loving them and greeting them, shaking their hands, and doing other things which would strengthen one's affection to them. He mentions a number of ayat and ahadith related to this point. قال لقوله تعالى لا تدخلوا بيوتا غير بيوتكم حتى تستأنسوا وتسلموا على أهلها. So do not enter someone's home until you greet them and seek permission to enter. And he mentions the hadith of Abi Hurairah. He mentions the hadith of Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu that's recorded in Sahih Muslim. قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم والذي نفسي بيده لا تدخلوا جنة حتى تؤمنوا ولا تؤمنوا حتى تحبوا أولا أدلكم على شيء إذا فعلتموه حاببتم أفشوا السلام بينكم. And he mentions the hadith in Sahih Muslim where the Prophet ﷺ said, by him in whose hand is my soul, you shall not enter the garden until you have faith, and you will not have faith until you love one another. Shall I tell you something which, were you to do it, would cause you to love one another? It is to spread. Now this hadith is really beautiful for so many reasons. One, the Prophet ﷺ, swore that none of us will enter Jannah until we believe. So for all of the believers, our hope is that we will die and Allah will have mercy upon us and enter us into Jannah. So that's our goal, so to speak. Right? That's our goal. That's our end target, inshallah, is that we will die and meet Allah in a state that He's pleased with us and He'll have favor and mercy upon us and enter us into Jannah. So the Prophet ﷺ here is telling us, none of you will enter Jannah until what? Until you believe. So one of the preconditions of belief, one of the preconditions of entering Jannah is to have faith. Right? Then he says, وَلَا تُؤْمِنُوا حَتَّى تَحَابُّوا, that none of you will have faith until what? Until you love one another. So now there's a condition to faith. Faith is a condition to get into Jannah, and loving one another is a condition of faith. So this is a condition based upon another condition. Then he says, should I not tell you about something which, if you were to do it, would would cause you to love one another. Should I not tell you how it is that you can love one another? So he's telling us what are the conditions of what the conditions to get into Jannah, which is faith. What's the condition for faith, or what's a prerequisite for faith? Is that we love one another as believers. What is how is it that we go about loving one another? So he's guiding us to all the conditions and the means by which we can, inshallah. So he mentions here, "Afshu salama bainakum." Spread peace. Spread peace, or the greeting of peace between you. And now, so some people would translated this as it is to greet people you meet. That was one of the translations of this hadith, to greet people you meet, to give the salam to people you meet. Now obviously that's part of it, because the greeting of peace, assalamu alaikum, this is an angelic greeting, and this is a greeting which the prophets ﷺ used to greet one another, and we've learned from our Prophet ﷺ to greet one another. This is a beautiful greeting, and it's actually a prayer for the person that we greet. When we tell someone assalamu alaikum, we are saying that we wish for you that peace would envelop you. We want for you, we hope that for you that peace would envelop you. Right? So this is actually, in a way, it's a kind of dua. It's a kind of dua that we wish the person would be enveloped in peace and the mercy of Allah. When we add, for example, rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, that we hope that the mercy of Allah and the blessings of Allah and peace envelop a person. So this is such a beautiful greeting in and of itself. But more interestingly enough, I don't think that this concept is related to only greeting one another with peace. Unfortunately, for a lot of us as Muslims, we've gotten so used to the word salamu alaikum. One, we don't really think about what it means or what we're really saying to the other person, or how that should actually impact our behavior. So if we say we want Allah's mercy and blessings and peace to develop a person, that probably means we can't hate them. That probably means we can't backbite them. That probably means we can't harm them. We can't steal from them. We can't harm. How can we tell them we want good for them? How can we say we want Allah's mercy for them? How can we say we want Allah's blessings for them on our tongues, but not have that same feeling in our hearts? Right. So I think a deeper point can be taken from this is that we have to understand how this greeting should actually impact our behavior with one another as believers. It's not just to say assalamu alaikum on our tongues, but that we have in our tongues and on our hearts that we want only for the believers good, and we hope that they find good in this life and in the next life. And we are pained and we suffer when we find a believer suffers, and we are joyful when we find that the believer is joyful. This is part of our religion. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. And he mentions here another hadith which is really beautiful from Sahih Muslim. إن الله عز وجل يقول يوم القيامة أين المتحابون لجلالي اليوم أظلهم في ظلي يوم لا ظل إلا ظلي. Abu Hurairah mentioned, as reported in Sahih Muslim, that the Prophet ﷺ said, Inna Allah Azza wa Jal yaqul, that indeed Allah the Almighty will say on the Day of Judgment, where are the lovers, where are those who love one another? Where are those who loved one another for my sake? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say on the Day of Judgment, where are those who loved one another for my sake, so that I may shade them under my throne on this day when no other shade is to be found. It's a beautiful hadith, subhanAllah, that one of the ways which we can protect ourselves in this life and in the next life, we can earn Allah's mercy and Allah's favor and do something which will benefit us in this life and the next life. It's to spread the salam, again by word, but also in terms of how we love one another, how we deal with one another, what we hope for one another. We hope for the success and peace and mercy and blessing. We hope for the peace and mercy and blessings of Allah. We hope that they be upon us, as we hope that they be upon our brothers and sisters in faith. This is the hope and dua. This is the dua of the believer, that Allah would have peace and blessings, and send peace and blessings and mercy upon His servants. Alhamdulillah, this is a beautiful branch. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us those who love one another solely for His sake, and that spread peace and spread salam between each other in words and in actions and in our hearts. We ask Allah to accept from us and from you. We ask Allah to forgive our shortcomings.